The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about being saved.
Welcome in, everybody.
Hello, friends.
Hello. Welcome all to Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. I'm Danny Jones.
And I am Samantha Jones.
And here we are, episode 25.
25.
What is the topic?
This is Superstitions.
Ooh.
This starts our Halloween month series.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. It's October.
Yeah, it's very cool.
It is.
So awesome.
Yeah.
This one will be fun.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we jump into that one, anything from last week?
I do. I have a couple things. First, there was a question that we didn't get to on the meditation show.
Okay.
And then I had a couple people message me asking me this question, so I wanted to cover it. And that is about falling asleep while you're meditating. And it is very, very common to fall asleep while you're meditating,
Easy.
especially at first. It, again, just like what we were talking about and how you have to build, it doesn't happen overnight. It's the same thing with not falling asleep. It
Right.
takes time. And once you get used to meditating, then you won't fall asleep anymore.
Right.
But a couple of things that you can do if you do find it hard to stay awake is instead of laying down, you can be sitting up. And some people can still fall asleep sitting up,
Right.
or get to a point where you're like, never mind, I'm laying down.
Yeah.
Avoid meditating in bed because you do associate bed with,
True.
sleep. Meditate first thing in the morning when you're like the brightest and most awake.
Right.
And then maybe think about the fact that if you're falling asleep during this meditation, maybe you're not getting enough sleep as it is. And maybe you need to get more sleep at night.
That could be very true.
Yes. But it is extremely common. And don't be discouraged if it happens to you. You'll work through it. You just have to keep going. Just like we said, it's repetition. It's that getting used to it, building it.
Right.
And it'll stop.
And if you're falling asleep, maybe you're doing it for too long to begin with.
That too, yeah.
Try 5-10 minutes.
Right. There's a thin line basically between awake and asleep. And you have to find that line where your brain is like shut off to a certain degree,
Right.
but still awake.
I get to moments where I can just step outside and do it quickly
Yep.
for under 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a matter of focus.
Yes.
That's really what it is.
That's true.
Time length doesn't matter. It's the focus.
Yes. It's how quickly or, how long it takes you to get to that point.
Yeah,
And how
I
long
told
you want
you
to stay under it.
This week how I went out there and because you talked about grounding and I said,
Mhm.
I got to do that again because I am a sissy when it comes to that. And I had been trying to do meditations in different places that weren't totally quiet,
Right.
to see if I could have some sort of different experience. And I was telling you how in the dentist,
Yes.
weird place, but
No, I did that too.
kind of like how with Oregonville, I just add the hum of the freeway into it all.
Yes.
So I was trying to do the same thing with even the noises and drill or whatever, and trying to see if I can get myself to a totally comfortable place, even though that's going on.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I can totally relax there. Every
Yeah.
time they take my blood pressure, it's totally fine. I'm not
Yeah.
uptight. So, but I was like, I wonder if I could have like an out of body like meditation where I could see myself sitting in this chair
Right.
with these people sitting around me. I couldn't do it.
No.
Maybe it was just because of the noise.
There's too
or
much
it was too much
going
going
on,
on. So the other day, I get outside, I'm watering the grass, picking up dog poo, all the fun stuff in suburbia. And I'm standing there and I'm like, I'm going to ground myself. I just have my flip-flops on, so barefoot. So I step off onto the wet grass and wasn't even thinking anything other than I just want to try grounding meditation right now for a couple minutes. The sun was beautiful, nice and warm.
Mm-hmm.
So I step into the grass and see immediately a flash of my own face standing there.
That's so cool.
And was like, whoa, I wasn't even asking for that,
That's really cool.
But
Yeah.
I think it was their way of saying, see if you seek
Right.
in the proper environment and way,
Yes.
and we'll give you those things. We'll show you. And It was very strange. It was like,
Yes.
whoa. And it was just a quick sort of like a negative flash. And it was like when you look at those things and then look at the wall and their image is like burned
Yes.
onto the wall.
Absolutely.
It was sort of like that.
That's cool.
But, yeah, that was a neat. And I did like the whole just focused on with breath, pushing my roots
Yes.
like harder and deeper into the ground and using like that sunlight feeling of that was sort of my energy source,
Yes.
as if a tree would be really growing, and just the more I felt kind of the goosebumps from the warmth, I would just push,
Right.
with that energy.
And see, that's a really good way to stay awake. Because if you go and you do a grounding meditation like that, you're not going to fall asleep standing up outside doing the grounding meditation.
Because you're focusing on something.
Right. And those can be done really quickly too.
Yeah.
I love grounding meditations. They
good.
really do. They do help to ground you, help to make you feel like you are one with the earth and that things can't push you over.
Right.
Yeah.
That was cool.
But I'm going to go into the next topic.
Please.
Because you're kind of talking about strange phenomenons. And I wanted to talk about something that happened to me this week because I think that this isn't necessarily based on my psychic abilities. I believe it's something that could happen to anybody. So what happened is first I was walking a client's dog and I was talking to this client through text because the dog hadn't been feeling well. And I was just typing and all of a sudden the word that I was typing changed to the diagnosis of what is wrong with the dog.
Mm.
I don't want to get into it because she doesn't know yet. And
Right.
so
But it was wild when you
it
told
was
me that.
wild because it changed. So I came home and I told you that story. Then later that night, this girl that I've been doing readings for gosh, almost since the beginning, I found out I was a medium. She messaged me and asked for a reading, and her schedule is very different from mine. So we were trying to set up a time and talking back and forth. And she told me that her niece had died and that she died in a drive-by shooting. And that was all the information that I had from it. I didn't have a picture. I didn't have anything else. And I started typing back to her. And all of a sudden, what I was typing changed to the name Sergio. And at first, I was like, why would that autocorrect change that to Sergio? And then it hit me. I was like, this is somehow associated. It has to be.
Right.
It was a word that had nothing to do, even similar letters to the name Sergio. So I messaged her and I said, does the name Sergio mean anything? And she said that that's the name of her niece's father.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
So these types of things, they don't happen to me often, but I feel like as my abilities build, they happen more and more often.
Mhm.
And I really like this one. I think this is a really cool way for them to get messages through. But I do feel like this is a way that they could get through to anybody because
Right.
I didn't do anything.
right.
Really, I didn't. I was typing what I was typing and then it was corrected for me to what they were trying to tell me.
And you said that doesn't happen often, but those two incidences were separate, right?
Same
Like-
day.
Oh, same day.
Same
Okay.
day. Hmm.
I thought there were 2 different days.
No, same day. And that happens to me a lot too, where certain, I don't want to call them powers because I'm not like magical or something,
Right.
but certain things like that,
Hmm.
they happen
Right.
on the same
It's
day.
like a strange glitch. Well, why did that
So
happen?
weird.
Because it was meant to happen.
Yes.
Ding dong.
Well, yeah.
Stop.
Right.
We want to
Stop
question
arguing.
and argue and change it and how.
Yeah.
What is the chances that the word you typed happened to be the girl's father's name?
Right.
I mean, come on.
Exactly. Exactly.
wild.
So there's certain ways that I don't really care, like prefer that they communicate with me. Maybe not one of my favorite ways. This is one of my favorite ways. And so I've told them that, I'm like, keep that up. That's easy for me. It's really cool. It,
Right.
it makes my brain like kind of go, whoa, for a minute. So I'm hoping I'll get more of that. But I really wanted to share that because again, you don't have to be psychic for things like that to happen.
Mm-mm.
If you're open to it, they'll communicate like that.
Bingo.
Yeah. So you just have to be open to it. And if you see something like that happening, don't just shrug it off as coincidence because
Yeah.
it's not.
Right.
It's really not.
Right.
So that was my story.
That's a good one. I
Yeah.
remember when you shared it with me, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I like that one.
Just when you think things are like, oh, we're used to it. And
Uh-huh.
that happens, you're like, what the heck?
Oh, no. Every time I think that I maybe am at the point where I know everything about the psychic world or whatever, they throw more at me. So I'm at the
Right.
point that I'm like, this is never going to end. I'm going to
No.
keep learning stuff. And I wonder, what am I going to
Absolutely.
keep learning? And that's another reason why I love the blog and the podcast so much is that as these things are happening to me, I'm sharing them because this is not something that you see normally.
Nope.
Most psychics, they don't show this, A. And B, most start at a very young age, or they're, this is what they're born with.
Right.
So you're seeing it from a middle-aged woman's standpoint of learning to develop her psychic abilities. And I continue to be blown away myself.
Well, you said the key word right there, learning. And that's
Yes.
the whole purpose of our soul's existence
Yes.
is throughout eternity is to learn. And that's why I believe that we have multiple lives, because we've got to come back and learn these things.
Absolutely.
And whether these lives be tragic or thrilling, famous, infamous, whatever, it's all learning.
It is.
It's all learning.
And we will continue to learn.
Yeah.
My friend Chelsea asked the other day, she's like, when do you think this stops?
Never.
Never. And she didn't like that answer. And I said, it never stops. It's going to continue. As long as you continue on this path.
And my understanding
is
the souls were created already. So there's not, I don't believe, honestly, that there's new souls being created.
I don't think so either.
You were given the gift of eternity.
Mm-hmm.
So what's better or worse?
Right.
To have been or not have been?
Right. That is the question.
Yes. So, anyways.
Cool.
Yay.
That's
So is that it for
it
recap?
for the recap.
Very nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's hop on into episode 25 then.
Yes.
Superstitions.
This is an interesting one because, as a psychic, you would think that I maybe wouldn't have superstitions because I don't necessarily believe in them, but I still have them.
Yeah.
So I was doing this research. I was like, this is going to be an interesting kind of like.
I really believe it's something that we have just been taught through generation.
It's been embedded in us. I truly believe that. So let's talk first. What is the definition of superstition?
Okay.
It is a widely held but unjustified belief in a supernatural concept leading to a certain consequence. Or, simpler way, a belief or practice resulting from ignorance, fear of the unknown, or false concept. Yeah. I mean, the word ignorance, I don't know if that's, it is harsh. It's very harsh. And because, like you said, it's almost something that's been embedded in us.
Yeah.
I don't know, what other people's childhoods were like, but my mom was very superstitious. Right. Oh, do not open that umbrella in the house. Do not walk under that ladder. Oh, there's a black cat.
The umbrella was probably the number one for most of us.
Yes. That's such a big one.
It is really bizarre.
I read a little bit on how a lot of these got started, and that one was just about a woman that opened her umbrella in the house, and later that day her house collapsed. And yeah, that's it. And I have a few examples
Maybe your
in
house
this
was
episode.
Old.
Yeah.
Older than you.
Right. And we're going back so far.
Yeah.
It's not like today.
What was this house made of?
Right,
Thatch
exactly. Right.
And jungle cut bowls.
Right. Mud and straw. I mean, come on. So I asked our listeners how many of them have superstitions, and I was surprised that only 45% said that they do. I thought that number would be much higher. That seems a little bit low to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. So
never bought into it, really.
Yeah. I don't know. I there's so many that I have. And what I did is I went online and I looked at what the most common ones are. And I found this list that was, ironically, the top 13 most common. And this is according to an NBC poll.
Okay.
So the first one is Friday the 13th. And, right?
Right.
So, first of all, I think we all know that Friday the 13th is a movie. And that
but
alone...
prior to the movie, was that still a superstition?
Well, Friday the 13th, I don't believe so, but the number 13, yes. And I'll tell you that 13 for some people is unlucky, and for some people it is lucky, especially in different countries. So one of the reasons that we've been taught that, and this is interesting, that the number 13 is unlucky is, again, goes back to the Mayan calendar and how that calendar that they thought was going to be the end of the world in 2012, it was like the 13th calendar or something. It was number 13.
Right.
So that was bad luck for the Mayans. But the bigger one is for the Last Supper, because there were 13 people at the table at the Last Supper, and the 13th to sit at the table was Judas, and Judas betrayed Jesus. That's the biggest place that comes from. That lucky
I can
number,
see that.
unlucky number 13
Right.
comes from.
But that was Good Friday or no?
That was the Last Supper.
Was that on a Friday? Was that why I call it Good Friday? I don't know. I'm not very familiar with that whole thing.
If you would have asked me that 20 years ago, I probably would have known.
Right. Well, we just celebrated Friday the 13th, actually, not that long ago.
Yeah.
And was it a full moon?
It was a full moon.
And I think they said that was the last time that I don't think in our lifetime we'll celebrate a Friday the 13th on a full moon.
Wow.
And nothing crazy happened.
Well, everybody's lives are different, but nothing crazy happened to us.
No.
The 13th is always a lucky number for me because my mom uses it to communicate. But I know for a lot of people it is unlucky,
Right.
so much so that a lot of buildings avoid putting the 13th floor in because nobody wants to work or stay on them.
Right.
And it all comes back to religion to one degree and superstition to another. In Italy, 13 is actually a lucky number, and 17 is their version of our 13.
A lot of gangs use 13 in their names. At least growing up in LA, there was, Venice 13.
Oh, really?
Sotel 13. But that was, from my understanding, also considered lucky.
Right.
But it was 13 because M is the 13th letter in the alphabet, and that M represented marijuana, I think.
Oh. So. 13, the 13th card in the tarot deck is also the death card.
Wow.
Right. But death in the
is
tarot,
not necessarily a bad card in the tarot.
It's not a bad card. It doesn't mean physical death. It really, really doesn't. It means transition or change, the end of one cycle, beginning of another. But again, people look at it as bad because it's death.
Right.
So it's all about perception. So that was number one on this list.
Word you just said there.
Yes, perception. The second one was the opening umbrellas inside. We talked about that one. Crossing your fingers. So this isn't necessarily superstition of bad things. A superstition could be a good thing coming. And crossing your fingers is one of those good
I do that.
I do it too. And I asked our listeners how many of them do, and 69% of them said that they do.
But to me, that's it could fall into this category for sure. But to me, it is an action that I'm doing and an energy that I'm sending out to bring.
Yes.
So
like a
we'll get to some
manifesting.
comments, but one of the comments that Sherry said was spot on about this, about superstitions and perception of.
Oh, okay. Yes, I have that to read. I think that was Krista, actually.
Sorry. Didn't mean that.
That's why you got
Krista.
me confused. But yeah, I do. Let me read that.
But don't jump to it if you're in the middle of something.
Well, yes, I in the middle of crossing your fingers, I wanted to do that because I did research on this. What it actually is, why we do that. Do you have any idea of why we do that?
Why?
Because it goes back to the early centuries of the Catholic Church, and it's similar to when you put your fingers out to make the sign of the cross,
right?
Like you're keeping evil away,
right.
But instead of putting your fingers out, you're crossing them on each other, like know. So that's basically warding off evil is where that came from the Catholic Church. But yes, I do that. There's even an emoji
That's not
for it.
even in my mind when I've ever done that, but okay.
I had no idea until I read this. No clue at all.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I really thought it was. I just, you do it because your entire life you've seen other people do it.
Yeah.
And so you go right along with it.
Learn
behaviors. Exactly.
Just like a majority of these superstitions.
That's exactly right. They really are. And I think for some of us as we get older, maybe all of us, I don't know, you start to go, well, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would opening an umbrella in the house make me have bad luck? And why would crossing my fingers bring me good? It doesn't.
Or walking under a ladder.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that is on the list as well. Let's see. The next one is making a wish on a wishbone. I do that.
I've done that. My mom that was tradition on Thanksgiving. I saved the wishbone for us.
Right. I kind of look at it as blowing out candles on a birthday cake. You're making a wish.
Right.
So,
but my mom eventually told me the trick to that, like that was whoever's thumb was higher up on the wishbone.
Oh, really?
is going to win because it could go, it
Oh,
splits off. So whoever gets the thumb higher is going to snap and have the larger piece.
that makes sense.
And I was like, man,
if I would have
here
just
I
known
thought
that.
my wishing didn't work. See what I mean? It's
Right.
like, she's like, no, it's all a game.
Right. That's funny.
Yeah.
Let's see. The next one, knocking on wood. I do this. Well, I don't physically do it, but a lot of times I will say knock on wood.
Same, out of the same vein as I would cross my fingers. I'm
Exactly.
sending,
Right.
that kind of energy.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people do this as like, okay, for example, and I'm not going to be superstitious and think that but it's been a while since we had an earthquake. Knock on wood
Right.
that we don't have one.
Right.
That's how I use it.
Sure.
I think most people too, that you try and just like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, I just said that. And maybe I'm putting that out into the universe and I don't want to. I'm just,
Because I've said before, like, hope doesn't have a lot of energy. It's the faith and the belief that
Yes.
contains the energy. But
Mhm.
it's sort of a way for me to have hope, but send out like that energy of like good things.
Right.
Good things.
Exactly. Exactly. The next one, ironically, number 6, is the number 666 as a sign of the devil. Yeah. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
hmm Got over that one a long time ago.
Yeah.
Number 7 is when breaking a mirror and you get 7 years of bad luck. I remember one of my favorite Disney movies when I was a kid was Robin Hood. And there's a scene in Robin Hood where the king takes his mirror and breaks it on top of the snake's head. And the snake goes, 7 years bad luck. So that one always stuck with me.
Yeah.
Never broken a mirror, but if I did, probably would have been like, ah!
Yeah. What happens when you have to demo a house,
Right. Well, and here's the thing, too, is there anybody, and think about this, is there anybody that hasn't had some kind of bad luck in the last 7 years?
Yeah.
So if you break a mirror and then you have some bad luck, it's just life.
Right.
We all have it.
It goes in ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
So we all have periods where we have a streak of crappy things that happen to us, and then we have a streak of wonderful things that happen to us.
Yes, exactly. It's really...
It's how you're looking at it, perception.
Perception, absolutely. Yep. The next one, I do this one a lot, is the things happen in threes. And
Yeah.
3 is like one of those universal numbers, and it's not necessarily bad things. Like
Right.
a lot of times it does seem like musicians or actors will die in threes. There was a discussion I got into with my friend Hannah on
Right.
this about that. And she was right. Michael Jackson, Farrah Fawcett, Ed McMahon, that's just one example, but that has happened a lot.
Right.
So I even said that a couple weeks ago, there was the guy from the Cars, and then there was somebody
Rick
else that
Ocasek.
died.
Eddie Money.
Eddie Money, and
Yeah.
then I was like, "There's a third coming," and there was, I can't remember who it was, but it
But
does.
was that a
seem to
singer
happen that-
or a
Yeah.
performer? Was it?
And then there were,
But how many more were there really that you don't hear about?
Right? There
There was a lot of other performers that died that day.
Right, exactly. I tried to find the origin of this, and nobody really knows where it came from. I guess we want to believe that things happen in threes. 3 is the number of the universe. So what I don't know, scientists or whoever have studied this, what the conclusion they've kind of come to is that people are looking for certainty. They're looking for some kind of stability,
Yep.
and believing that 3 things happen in threes kind of bring that.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think we're all looking for the certainty, the answer, the final. We want to know
Right.
what happens. Even if people believe nothing happens when you die, they still want to know.
Right.
I mean, not that they're in a rush. Not everybody's in a rush to get there.
Right.
But I'm just saying, I think overall our curious minds want to know several things, and that is what's out there
Mm-hmm.
in space, and then what happens to us when we leave here.
Yes.
I mean, I think those are two instinctive human thoughts
Yeah.
and feelings that have propelled us and pushed us to question and to journey into new frontiers
Yes.
to find answers.
Right. I agree with you. Absolutely.
And we're
think
still
that
doing it.
it's what life's about, finding the new answers. I mean, really.
And guess what? You're going to come back and you're going to have some
You're
more.
going to do it all over again.
You're going to have some other questions and other answers. And
Yeah.
I guess my thought process about that at first was like, God, I really don't want to do this.
Yeah, I don't want to come back.
But the more I think about it, I go, wow.
Yeah.
I'm so afraid to leave, but then I go, man, I get to come back as many times as I want. So
yeah, I know it scares me a little bit. It's like, what's the next one gonna be? You know,
right.
And then like I was talking to Chelsea about this the other day actually, and she said, "Well, do you think that you go into your next life knowing the things that you like psychically, the things we know now, and those?" And I said, "Well, no. Did you know them coming into this life?"
Everything's wiped out.
It's all
started
wiped out.
over.
And it does suck because I would love to take my psychic abilities along with me to the next life without having to work on them. And who knows?
Can you find
Maybe
them in
I
the
will.
next life? Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think
sure.
that's where the test is like, what are you going to do with this life?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, but you're absolutely right. No, you don't know any of that.
No.
It's all wiped clean and you start over. And it wouldn't be a test if you knew all the answers.
That's exactly right.
So,
Yep.
And when you say, what's the next life going to be like, that's totally up to you.
It is, yeah.
It's when you get there and decide, what do I need?
Mm-hmm.
Do I need to live poorer?
Right.
You know, to
What did I
really
miss in this
understand,
one? Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
it's a little spooky, but when you think about that, you're your own judge and jury. So it's totally up to you.
Yeah. Make a point.
Yeah.
We got a little off topic, but that's okay.
Sorry.
We do that. Anyways, it sparks new ideas for episodes that maybe I'm like, sometimes when you say things, I'm like, wait, we haven't talked about that yet. And I don't want to throw people off. But then I think, well, that's a great idea then. Then that's something, you know what I mean? We can talk about that. Anyways, so back to my list.
Cool.
Let's see. The next one, number 9, is Lucky Rabbit's foot. Why on earth is a chopped off body part of a rabbit lucky?
I had one.
I did too.
I know all kinds of kids that had them.
Yeah, but
They were
why?
huge in the 80s.
I didn't look that one up.
It was like
but...
pet rocks and rabbit foots in the 80s.
Yeah. No, thanks. Anyways, number 10, black cats. And really, come to find out, it's not just black cats. People have a lot of superstition over black animals altogether.
Right.
Black dogs.
Mhm.
There's so many black dogs in the shelters because people think that they're evil. We have the maintenance guy that comes out and works in our house sometimes is deathly afraid of our black lab. He's the sweetest dog in the whole world, but he's black. Superstition
He said he was
against
more
him.
scared of Sabbath than the Great Dane, than Zuma,
Mhm.
just because of his color.
Just because of his color, yeah.
But he was bit by one, so.
Well, yeah, okay, whatever. But him being a black dog doesn't make him any different than any other dog. And same with the black cats. They're just looked at as demonic because they're black. Black is always,
associated.
Yes.
Stupid.
My grandma used to say it to me all the time when I was, why do you wear black? It's a devil color. No, it's not. It makes me look thinner. Leave me alone. Everybody thought I was goth. No, I just like to look slimmer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So black is not a bad color, whether it's a cat, a dog, clothes, whatever it is. It's again about perception. Black cats, black dogs, they need love and attention just as much. This time of year, it does get scary, and a lot of shelters will stop adopting the black cats out because there are people that will use them in rituals because of these kinds of superstitions.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's
ridiculous.
It is. Number 11, don't walk under a ladder. This is also a religious thing. It has to do with the Trinity, the Father, Son, Holy Ghost, that you're breaking the triangle going through it. Maybe it's just dangerous and you shouldn't walk under a ladder to begin with. Like, hello.
I've known a couple people who have had accidents on ladders, so I could see not being underneath it when it fell.
Yes.
But for those reasons, no.
Yeah.
Do you think that God's sitting there going,
oh my gosh, you walked under a ladder?
I couldn't tell you how many job sites that you've got guys that walk underneath ladders.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, geez Louise.
Right. Again, it might not be the safest thing in the world, but,
sometimes it's going to probably
dangerous.
be necessary.
Right,
but...
exactly. But it's not going to bring you bad luck or whatever they say it's going to do.
Yeah.
Number 12, find a penny, pick it up all day long, you'll have good luck. Well, here's another way of looking at that. Pennies from heaven.
Yeah.
Because your loved ones will send you pennies.
Yeah.
Marina found one the other day, didn't she?
Did she?
Somebody did. I
don't
thought
know.
it was Marina. Look, I found a penny.
Huh.
Penny from heaven.
There you go.
So you can, look at it as it's going to bring you good luck. That's great. You want to bring good luck to yourself. That's exactly how you do it. You put it out there.
Again,
and we'll get
it's
to
your
that.
perception.
Yeah. It's your perception. But it could also be a message from your loved ones on the other side.
Yep.
13, beginner's luck. And is that possible? I mean, I don't know. We're all lucky. We're all unlucky sometimes. I think you said that when we went to Vegas for my birthday and we were playing slots and you were winning the beginner's luck.
Oh, yeah.
I think you said that. And no, you're just bringing luck to yourself.
Yeah.
That's all.
I mean, I don't do it enough to really judge whether I'm lucky or not. As far as going to Vegas and gambling, I'd rather do different things with my money. But
yeah,
there's sometimes you're like, oh, the first time it's something. And so we call that beginner's luck when maybe it's just how it was supposed to be.
Right, exactly.
The first time. And then the next time it'll be 100 times worse.
Right, exactly.
But I don't know.
So then I asked our listeners, that's the list of 13, I asked if they have any weird superstitions. I wanted to read this one.
Mm-hmm.
This is from Nicole. She said, this is a weird one. Unless you grew up in a Mexican household, then it's common knowledge. If you look at a dog while pooping, you get a sty in your eye. Okay, so I'm a dog walker / pet sitter, and I'm like, if this one was true, my eyes would be completely covered in sties.
Yeah, I see my dogs poop all the time. They're like, why are you looking at me? Just want to make sure you don't have diarrhea.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, we're not really looking. You got in our view.
Right.
So, yeah, I thought that one was really
That's funny. But yeah, I could see that, a lot of superstitions within that. That race, and like Catholic and
for sure
Hispanic, and lots.
We all have like those strange ones too that we've created for ourselves. I don't even know why, but I have a pair of lucky underwear, and I used to wear them to all of my races when I would do like 10Ks and stuff. And I thought that if I didn't have those underwear with me, maybe something bad would happen and I wouldn't complete the race. I wore those things out to every single race. Yeah. Why I did that, I have no idea. But there's a lot of people that are like that.
There's a lot of athletes that are like that.
Superstitious that I have to wear this, or, I have a client that he's like a huge Dodgers fan and his entire living room is like a shrine to the Dodgers, and he thinks that that's somehow going to help them win. We all have those really weird superstitions.
Yeah.
And so I asked our listeners how many of them found that their superstitions was based on something that actually happened. And only 36% said that it was based on something that actually happened. Right. I really feel like most of the time
we don't have any experience in this. It's just what we've been taught.
It's what we've been taught. It's just like everything else in our lives, that it's like, we are taught these things. We see adults acting like this when we're kids. We see them doing these things and we immediately go, oh, this is normal. Right. I mean, we do it. I meant to ask Marina, I totally forgot to ask her about what kind of superstitions that she may hear about, because as a kid, like, what is she being taught? Something I'm going to have to ask her, remind me, and then maybe we'll talk about it in the recap next week.
Yeah, we never really taught her or asked her.
No,
if
I meant to. Any. Yeah. Because I'm sure she hears us say things, things happening in threes or whatever. So, but it's definitely something that we're taught.
Yeah.
And if we don't say those things in front of our kids, they're probably not going to believe it anymore, but they'll probably hear it somewhere else.
Well, which makes me question, and it's totally maybe spawning on a different topic for a second, but that is, so if I've been fed all this and believed all this, something as trivial as superstitions, what else have I been fed?
Exactly.
That I've gone along with and believed. And
that is a great point.
And based a lot of my silliness in my own personality or life on that.
Right. Yes. And you know what? There's a lot of people, too, that with these, it becomes almost like an obsession. Like an OCD. People with OCD are, it's all about superstition. It is. And it's like, well, why does that happen to us? Is that a chemical imbalance, or is that like just these things being fed to us and taught to us, and they don't make sense, but somehow we have to stick to them because if we don't, something bad's going to happen.
Right.
I do it. I still do it. If I don't do this, something bad's going to happen. I'm totally the type of person that I have a really hard time being completely happy, because I worry that if I'm completely happy, something bad's going to happen.
Everything will crumble because you weren't paying attention.
And that's, a lot of people say that. it sucks. And I've really been trying to work on that because we're just like.
But then you're bringing in the negative, you know what I mean?
Yes.
You're saying you're almost willing the negative in because you're like, it's not okay to be happy
Right.
and content.
Right.
I need something in here, some drama
Right.
to mix into the pot, you know?
Yep.
Why?
There's a song, I can't remember who it's by, maybe you'll know, The Best Day of My Life. And it came out, gosh, I don't know, somewhere around 2011, 2012. And me being me, especially at that time, when I would sing this song, instead of saying best day of my life, I would say worst day of my life. Because I didn't want to say best day because then I was afraid that I was jinxing myself. Because a lot of times I felt like I would be positive and be like, this is going to be a great day. And then something would happen and I would feel like I did that to myself.
Right.
That song, it has triggered things in my mind. Like when it's played repetitively, it has triggered me to understand that there is maybe something coming, but not necessarily bad. That happened a couple years ago with that song. Anyways, so I feel like lately they've been trying to get that out of me, trying to teach me to sing. It's okay to sing best day of my life. And I'm still very superstitious about it. And it's very hard for me to sing that. But it's almost like a part of this spiritual awakening process is that I have to let go of some of these things. And it's difficult. But I do feel like if we could let go of a lot of these things, we would be generally happier because we wouldn't be holding ourselves back.
I loved what they said about the superstitions is based on the need for certainty.
Yes.
And you know what? We all want every day to be the same, but it's not because it's a new day. So it's automatically different.
Yes.
So we should embrace that and let each day be what it's going to be. Try not to depend on certainty and expectation. Let what comes to you come to you.
Yes.
You know, and you can will the good.
You can.
And you can also will the bad away.
Well, let's talk about that.
You know,
for a
a
minute.
lot of it.
Yeah. Let's talk about that because you had brought up earlier the comment that Krista made.
Which I love.
Yes. So let me read it. I'm not superstitious, but I do believe that if you are, and you believe that these things will bring you bad luck, the law of attraction will indeed bring you bad luck. I believe if we look at these things or anything really and believe they will bring the luck, they will. If you believe they mean nothing, they won't. Krista, you hit that.
Bam! Like right there when I read that, I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for speaking up and sharing that because this is everything.
It is.
This is everything. I mean, even the day you die, if you think you're going to sit in a fiery hell, guess what? That's what your perception is going to be. You're not going to feel fire because you have no body. Okay. So you can't feel torture and pain when you have no body.
True that.
But if you want to perceive yourself in that environment, you will.
Right.
And someone will tap you on the shoulder, theoretically.
Yeah.
And say, are you ready to go now, Mr. Jones?
Well, I don't think,
No, I'm really enjoying this. You know, again, Mr. Jones, are you ready to go now? And eventually you will be shown the truth, but you've got to open your mind. So the sooner that you do that, which means in this life, the easier it's going to be when we get there to understand this is all sort of this one big illusion and a game of perception.
It is.
It's what you want to see in things and believe in things is what you're going to get.
Yes. This was one of the reasons I wanted to do this episode first in the series was because I believe that it goes right along with everything that we've been talking about recently. Manifestation. It really, the superstitions, the crossing your fingers, the, whatever, the good positive ones, you are putting out there good positive, whether it's a superstition or whatever it is, putting it out, you are manifesting good things by talking about them, by saying them. But you're also, with the law of attraction, if you're going to put bad out, you're going to get bad back.
Right.
And I totally am human. I understand. I do it myself. But it really does change your life when you stop to think about what you're doing and say, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. Has this worked for me the rest of my life so far? No, it really hasn't. Have I ever walked under a ladder and had it fall on me? No, I haven't. I mean, just becoming logical. During this spiritual awakening process, I think that that's been one of the things for me that I realized the most, that all of this stuff, it is about logic.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to use logic for some reason. We want to believe in negative magic, but not in positive magic.
Right.
We want to believe that if we break a mirror, we're going to have 7 years bad luck, but we don't want to believe that a person like myself with gifts can help you with healing with a loved one's death because you can't see what I can do. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
It's all about using the brain that you've been given
Mm-hmm.
and changing your thought process and being logical in your life. And once you do that, those negative things will stop being so prominent in your life.
The universe isn't that complicated.
It's not
Even
at
though it's so
all.
vast and amazing and there's so much we don't know, it's not that complicated.
It's really not. We just want to make it complicated. And I don't know why we do that. I really don't.
I think as earthlings, that's what's unique about this situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
We're put ourselves in one of the toughest places.
Right. I'll tell you what, since that manifestation episode, I've been working really, really hard at learning how to manifest better.
Mm-hmm.
And this is probably a good time to get this in because we have time and it does go along with this. I have learned a lot. And then one of the things that I have learned is that you don't have to obsess about your manifestation. You can simply put out that one positive thought, one positive comment. Universe, help me with this. I asked the universe for a miracle. And you know what? It's very possible that I'm going to get that miracle by the end of the week. We're still waiting, but it's very possible.
Well, there's actually 3 different things for us that I felt like together we've both sort of been manifesting and willing
Yes.
To ourselves.
Yes.
And they've now sort of appeared.
It's really,
Or
really
the
weird.
possibilities of, well, meaning we did that meditation on manifesting money to yourself.
Yes.
And then you got a notification about a potential situation that might happen.
Yes.
And then we heard the mailman come and boom.
Yeah, there was a check in the mail.
There was a check that I was waiting for.
That
So,
same day, yeah.
And then not babysitter.
Oh, yeah, the dog sitter.
The dog sitter,
Mhm.
which we were like, we'd love to be able to go and do some things, maybe have an overnight somewhere and get away once in a while, but it's
been
hard.
hard with Zuma.
It's
our
hard
Great
when
Dane.
she's a pet sitter and then you have
Yes,
your
that
own
too.
pets.
Mhm.
So
And having a 14-year-old
all of a
is
sudden,
hard too.
right under our nose comes a person that's willing to do this for us.
Yep.
And then there was another situation had been manifesting. So I was like, whoa,
It's really weird.
this is weird.
It is. And I truly am at this point in my life where I believe that anything you want, you can have. Because I look back at things that I thought I wanted a long time ago, and then things I knew I wanted, but thought I could never have. And now I'm at the point where I see that those things that I thought I wanted are not what I want. And the things that I knew I wanted but thought I couldn't have are manifesting themselves in my life.
Right.
Because I believe.
Yeah, I think
not
based on
magic.
superstition in the past, I thought my life is doomed. I'm screwed. Like I just,
Right.
I just had one of those lives. And then I
Yes.
realized, no, that's not it at all.
It makes me sad, and I have been thinking about that a lot, that there are people that for their entire lives, that's what they do. They believe that they can't live the way that they want to live because they're not entitled to it. And you know what? I don't want to be some famous medium. I don't want that. I want to change the world and I want to help it, but it doesn't have to have my name written on it. You know what I mean? But why can't I do that? What is stopping me? Do you know what's stopping me? My own mind and people telling me that I can't do it. Like Kanye West, I'm not a Kanye fan,
Right.
but he was told so many times that he couldn't do it and he didn't listen to anybody. He's like, why can't I? I can do whatever I want. What made him any different from me or from you? Nothing.
Or Walt Disney, like many times as he proposed his plan,
Right.
he might have thought maybe I'm just jinxed. Maybe
Right.
that's just what I'm destined
Right.
to be doomed. And then you have to go, well, I could believe that based on all this superstition and things I was brought up to believe.
Right.
Or I can say, no, I'm going to believe in something different and
Right.
see what happens.
Yep.
That's magic.
Right. Why do we believe that we can't all have what we want? And I think one of the things is we believe, like, if you look at somebody that's had success, they usually, you could say, well, they knew somebody that knew somebody. Okay. But don't we all get someplace by knowing somebody that
Absolutely.
helps us there?
Absolutely.
So what does it matter if that person was related to the person that helps them, or if they're friends with the person that helps them, or if it's friend of a friend? It doesn't matter how you get there.
Right.
You will have somebody that will help you along the way, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to help each other, and doing these things by ourselves,
Right.
it's not possible. So when you say that you can't possibly do it because only people that know somebody get there, well, guess what? We all know somebody.
That's how life goes.
It is.
So you want to blame that on somebody, or, oh, that's a one-hit wonder. Well, you don't really know what they've been doing
You have no idea.
for the last 5 years before you heard it on the radio or saw it on MTV or
Right.
whatever it was. But absolutely, you're right. I mean, are you manifesting and willing it to yourself?
Yes.
You'll bring it to yourself.
Yes.
That's what we're in the process of doing.
Right.
But you have to build something that you believe in and really believe in.
Yes.
You have to make something virtually out of nothing sometimes.
Yes.
And if you believe enough in it and share it, can't hide in a dark room.
Mm-mm.
You have to share it.
Mhm.
You will.
And you have to move forward. So many people are stuck in just staying in the same everyday pattern, and they live
Right.
their life like that day after day. Every day that you wake up is a chance for you to start over again. And that was something that changed with me with this, was that I used to drag yesterday's drama into today.
Yep.
I won't do it anymore.
Right.
I wake up in the morning and I'm like, it's a new day.
Mhm.
I worry about what's going to happen in that day? I think that that's human nature, but I try not to. I really, really try not to, and say, today is the only today I'm going to get. Tomorrow it's gone.
Right.
You don't remember, like, if you look 10 years back, the arguments that you had with yourself or with other people, the small ones, the dumb things that happen every day, you're not going to remember those. It's
Nope.
those big days, those days that you do something, the days that, you're moving forward on your path, that you're making changes in your life, that you do something good, you go out, you do something different. Those are the days you're going to remember.
Yeah.
And you have to try and make each day one of those days.
Mhm.
And you won't. Every day won't be perfect.
No.
But
And it's amazing is, like, you bring that up, is a good point, is when you're looking back at those moments in your life and the things you do remember, do you remember the traumatic events? Yeah.
yeah,
Do you remember the victories? Yeah.
yeah,
What's interesting about that is traumatic events, with time, they seem to diminish
They do.
in the level of pain that they carry.
thankfully.
However, victories always feel the same when
That's
you think
true.
about them.
Never thought
You
about
always
that.
feel that amount of power and energy when you think of that victory.
Yeah.
It doesn't ever diminish or get any less or more.
Yep.
But traumatic will feel less strong through
Right.
time.
Well, and the thing about traumatic experiences too is that when you continually think back on them, you bringing them to the surface
Mhm.
again. And so I see that a lot with people, and I did it myself for a long time, and I try not to do it anymore. And that's to live in those past memories.
Yeah.
And when you have those thoughts, and it goes right along with superstitions,
Yeah.
that when you have those thoughts, you have to find a way to put them out of your mind,
Right.
because all you're doing is living in the past.
Yeah.
And if you continue to live in the past, you can't move forward. It's not
True.
worth it.
And
you know?
if you know what, mourning over loss, like your mother,
Yeah.
and I see a lot of friends that I know that are doing this and having this in their life, and it's tough. I know we're kind of maybe
Grief's
going
very
off a little
different,
bit,
yeah.
but is that you have to grieve. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. Let it out, but you do have to let it go. Not just for you, because you have work and things left here to do in this life, but you can keep that soul here.
Mm-hmm.
You can keep them grounded to the earth by not letting them go.
Very true.
And they have a right to go.
Yes.
They have a life and other lessons and things. You're not bound. We're individual. We are a soul family.
Yeah.
But we're not bound as one.
Right.
We are individuals, and we have our own path and our own lessons to learn.
Yep.
My lessons are completely different than yours.
Absolutely.
Yet we spend our whole life together.
Yep.
Or not our whole life, but we will spend our whole life together.
Right.
So, in that sense, is think about it like that. If you are mourning and when you start thinking about them, think of more of like, I love you so much,
Yes.
but go and be free.
Yes.
Go be what you are supposed to be.
Right.
You're giving them the freedom to now leave and go back to the other side to continue to learn.
Yeah.
Because they're prepping themselves most likely for the next time they come here.
Right.
But we have to let it go because it's going to weight not only you down, but it's keeping your loved ones here, and it's not effective. They're going to be able to help you more once they fully transition and learn what they need to learn in the life they just lived so they can help you.
Yes, absolutely. And that just made me think of something that goes along too with the superstition is that I get a lot of people when I do readings like that have lost somebody or lost an animal, and they feel like they can't move on because if they move on, they're not honoring that person's spirit. But let me tell you what, moving on is so much better for everybody involved,
including that person's spirit.
And they don't think like that on the other side. When they get over there, everything is completely different perspective. I did a reading for a lady the other day that was like, can my dog ever forgive me for putting her to sleep when maybe she wasn't ready? Okay, she was ready, first of all. Second, they don't look at death the same way that we do, animals in general, but also when they get there. And number three, those are things that you're holding on to yourself. Mm-hmm. Those are your own issues, your own superstitions.
Grief is a human thing.
Yes. Well, yes, it is. I mean, dogs grieve too, but all animals grieve to a certain extent.
Incarnate.
But not incarnate, right. Not on the other side. On the other side, they're not mourning. They're not sad. They're not crying. They want us to be happy here. They want us to enjoy our lives here. That's the point of us being here. There's no point in sitting around every day and just letting your life go by. Enjoy it, please.
Right.
Leave these superstitions behind. And I'm talking to myself right now, too. To everybody, let's try and leave these superstitions behind that we've been taught, not pass them on to our kids and our grandchildren, and see if we can change some patterns.
Right.
Boom.
Yeah, nothing bad's going to happen to you unless you want it to happen to you. I mean, I'm not saying accidents and things don't happen, but on a regular basis, meaning on a superstitious level, no.
Right. Mm-mm.
Hogwash.
It is hogwash. But again, law of attraction, you put negative out, you could possibly bring negative back. So put that positive out.
Yeah.
The more positive,
I speak
better.
from experience. I put a lot of negative out. I've done a lot of dumb things, and I've gotten a lot of shit back. But I realized, wow, if I just do the opposite happens.
I think that one of the myths is that people don't change. And everybody does change. Everybody should change.
Yeah.
If you're the same person that you were when you were 20, if like I'm 42, I am so different than I was at 20, 30, even at 40.
Yeah.
I'm completely different through the spiritual awakening that started when I was almost 40. You can change. You can fix these things. You can change your mindset. You are the only one on this planet that has the control to do that for you.
And so much of my life I'm not only following my dreams, but I'm trying to repair things that I've done. You know, I would say like Tom would be a great example that we played in a band about 15 years ago together for about 5 years.
Right.
And it didn't end that great. And we didn't talk for 12 years. And I stand in a room with him now and I go, wow, it's hard to imagine.
It's time lost.
Not talking to him.
Yeah.
Because I really love that guy, you know, a lot. And he's taught me a lot just about a lot of things, music and friendship and boundaries or whatever it may be, you know. But yeah, I trip on that and go, it's time lost. Yeah. But everything was meant to happen for a reason because I really appreciate it. But so here I am, and he's said to me, like, wow, you're so much different. You're different than you were then.
Yeah.
And I said, good, because I'm trying to be.
Right.
You know,
I don't want to be that.
No, I
same
don't want to
person.
be that person.
No.
And I said, this time it's about our friendship, no matter what. I mean, whether we go somewhere or we don't, or it falls apart, I said, it's not going to be like I won't talk to you for 12 years. That won't ever happen again.
And it's important to point that out, that like sometimes even 12 years later, you may not have even remembered a lot of why you guys were arguing to begin with.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. It really isn't. It's like everybody's different, and you grow up and you got to put those things behind you, and we all make mistakes. We all do stupid things. It's just the way that life is. You just got to move past it and realize that, that's life, and we're all human, and we all make mistakes.
Take it one moment and one day at a time.
Yep, exactly.
Don't bite off more than you can chew. Or just take it easy on yourself. We're all doing the best. If you know in your heart you're doing the best you can, then sit with that.
Yeah.
But if you feel like you can do better, do better.
Yep. I know we totally got off topic, but I really,
okay.
Sometimes I feel like there's a reason for that.
They all intertwine.
It does. Even though this is spooky month, this does really intertwine with the laws of attraction, the meditation, the manifestation. It all kind of goes together.
Yeah.
It's all about life changes.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was a good one.
Yeah, I enjoyed that episode. I hope you guys did too. I hope we did. Yeah, we didn't ramble on too much. But
well, if you can't tell by our title of our show that that's what we do, then
yeah, exactly.
You might want to just keep scrolling on down the dial.
Yeah, we just talk. That's all we're here to do.
Well, with that being said, before we say adios, would you like to share any information?
Sure. You can find everything that you need about us and about myself on my website at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com. That has my blog information. You can also find my blog at noplacelikecombtheblog.com. And our podcast, you can find there everything you need. You can even set up a reading with me there, right there, boom, on the website.
Muy bueno. Very good.
Easy peasy.
And if you like art, I do that. You can find me on the web at djonesartcollection.com. I just did a Sid Vicious of Sex Pistols.
Yes.
So I have a few that I don't have on my website, but those will all be up soon. But there is many up there right now. But you can find all of them on my Facebook at djonesartcollection, and also Instagram, same as well. And if you like music, check us out, gypsybrown.com, and also on Facebook and Gypsy Brown Music on Instagram.
Yay.
So that's it.
That is it.
Well, we really appreciate everybody tuning in for another week.
Sure do.
I think next week is...
It's another spooky week. We haven't really picked which topic we were going to talk about yet.
But it marks 6 months for us.
Oh my gosh, it does mark 6 months. So we're going to have to come up with something really exciting.
Yeah, we'll have a little celebration.
Yeah,
Maybe
we will.
Cake.
Cake?
Cake.
I'm there if there's cake. Always. Yeah.
So, cool. Well, that will be next week then.
Yeah.
And we'll continue on with our spooky
Halloween
for the month.
Yep.
Well, thanks again, everybody. We hope you have a wonderful week.
Yes.
And until next week, peace and love.